Do not sign a lease in that building. Do not sleep in 3B. The stains on the ceiling did not stay put. I took it because I wanted a clean case. I wanted a start-to-finish record. No second-hand stories. No staged junk. I told the landlord I was a night shift worker. He liked cash and quick signatures. I was a test case for myself. 30 nights. Lived inside. Documented everything. No running out over small stuff. In my bag, I had 2 EVP recorders, a static camera, a handheld, and a thermal imager. I had fresh batteries and a logbook. I planned timelines and checkpoints. I set rules for myself. No salt, no prayers, no provoking, not at first. Sit with it. Record it. The place looked normal in the afternoon. 1 bedroom, a short hall, bathroom off the hall, kitchen open to a small living room. It smelled like bleach and old towels right when I walked in. The superintendent had left the windows cracked, but the mildew still sat in the air. A long brown stain ran along the living room ceiling near the front wall. Another round one sat over the bathroom door. He told me the upstairs bath overflowed last winter. He said it was all patched. He shrugged when I asked about the knocks people wrote about online. Old pipes, he said. People want to hear things. The buzzers sometimes stick. If it rings at night, just unplug it and call him in the morning. He handed me the keys and left fast. I watched him go down the hall, and I watched him wait for the elevator with his back to my door. I set up gear. Static camera facing the hall, aimed at the bathroom door and the living room ceiling stain. Second camera on the kitchen pointed at the front door and the intercom. EVP recorders on the coffee table and on the nightstand. Thermal sweeps each hour. I wrote a little map of the apartment in my book. I penciled the edges of the main stain so I could see if it spread. I put tape on the wall at the door chain so I could see if it moved while I slept. I took baseline temps and noise for 20 minutes. The pipes knocked twice in the kitchen wall, deep and hollow. It sounded like someone hitting a pipe in the wall with a wrench. It was not special. I wrote it down. I smelled mildew near the bathroom, even though I had left the vent on. I dumped a cup of bleach in the tub drain and ran the water. More notes. The first night I kept the bedroom door open so the static cam had the hall. I lay on the couch with the handheld on my chest and let it run. At 12:19, the intercom let out a short buzz like someone brushed it. I sat up and stared at it. Nothing. I said, "Hello?" My own voice sounded flat. No answer. The pipe knocked twice from the living room wall. I said my name and the date and the time. I knocked back. 1, 2. No response. I shrugged and lay down again. In the morning, the stain over the bathroom door looked a little darker. I took a photo and compared it to my pencil mark. It had spread against gravity, sideways toward the hall. The tape by the chain had a crease that was not there when I put it up. Maybe I bumped it. I had not slept well. My forearm hurt. In the bathroom mirror, I saw 4 purple ovals on my upper arm. They looked like fingers. I felt stupid. I must have grabbed my arm in my sleep. I recorded it anyway. Day 2, day 3, the same. Knocks in the walls. Bleach smell fading to mildew by midnight. My keys ended up on the kitchen floor. I found them under the couch. I thought I had put them on the hook by the door. I wrote it down. At 3:17, the intercom buzzed and held for 3 beeps. I went to it and pressed the talk button. "Who is it?" I heard breath, not words. Wet breath, like someone with water in their throat. I looked through the peephole. The hall light flickered. I could not tell if anyone stood there. My eye watered. The chain did a small shift, like metal settling. I told myself I was getting suggestible. I unplugged the intercom and went back to the couch. At 4:02, the pipe knocked 3 times so hard it rattled the cabinet doors. On day 4, I met the neighbor. She was in slippers by the mailboxes. Older, small, gray hair pulled back. She looked at me like she knew me, and then looked down at my arms. I had a long sleeve on. She still seemed to see the bruises. "You in 3B," she said, not a question. I nodded. She nodded back and tapped her chest with a knuckle like she was trying to settle her own breath. I told her I would try not to be loud at night. She said, "He never left that one." I asked, "Who?" She shook her head once and walked past me like she wanted to leave the conversation behind. In that hall, everything smelled wet. I rubbed my neck and went back inside. I held to my rules. No salt. No prayers. That night, I set both EVP recorders, the static cam, and I did a thermal sweep every 30 minutes. The living room stain had grown another inch past my pencil line. I marked it again. At midnight, I walked the hall. The floor felt cold under my feet. On the thermal, the bathroom door was a colder rectangle than any other wall. You could see the studs. Something whined in the pipes. I said, "If anyone can hear this, I am listening. Tell me your name. Tell me why you are here." I sat on the floor with my back against the hall wall and waited. The air by my ear felt cooler than the rest. Then it slid behind my head and down my neck. It was not the vent. The vent was closed. I stood. It rose with me. I took one step and it followed like it was pushed by my shoulder. I took one more step and said out loud, "Stay where you are." It moved with me anyway. I wrote in the log, "Cold patch followed me from hall to living room." At 3:17, the intercom buzzed, even though I had unplugged its cord. It was still unplugged. The unit hummed and the button light glowed. I pressed talk. "Who is it?" The static crackled. A breath, and then a syllable like K. My name starts with K. I froze with my finger on the button. The chain on the door scraped 2 links down. I backed away. I said into the unit, "I am not letting you in." It hissed like a sigh and cut out. Morning 5th day, I found wet prints on the hall floor. From the bathroom toward the couch. Bare feet. I put my foot over one. It was longer than mine, but narrow. My bath mat was dry. My towels were dry. I had not showered. The prints went to where I slept and ended under the couch. I flipped the couch. Nothing was under it but dust and a nickel. I checked the intercom wire. It was still unplugged. The jack was dry. My keys were on top of the toilet tank, standing straight up in a little ring of water. I laughed because the alternative was to yell. I wrote it down. I drew the prints and measured them in the log. I cleaned the floor with bleach. I cleaned the sink with bleach. The whole apartment stank like a public pool. The stains on the ceiling did not fade. They looked darker against the white. I broke my own rules that night. I poured a line of salt at the front door and across the hall to the bathroom. I put a small cross by the bed. I am not religious. I just wanted anything. I moved the bed to the far wall away from the bathroom. I slept in there with the door shut and the chain on the front door. The static cam watched the hall. At 2:48, the doorknob to the bedroom clicked like someone tested it. I sat up. The cold moved along the door from the bottom up. The chain out in the living room yanked, fast, and then went quiet. I lay down and did not sleep. I listened to the recorders the next day. There were spots of dead audio, like a file that glitched. Then, between the glitches, I heard breath. I heard my name whispered slow, with the K stuck in the back of the throat. K-E. K-E. It sounded like me trying to talk underwater. I replayed it a lot with headphones. It still sounded like me. I told myself I was primed to hear it. I closed the laptop and sat on the kitchen floor with a cup of coffee and the bleach smell in my sinuses. The keys were not on the hook again. I found them in the freezer under a bag of ice. Day 7, I looked through the peephole at noon. Nothing in the hall, but the glass in that peephole made the edges bend. It made the hall seem tight and far at the same time. My eyes teared up and stung. I wiped them and looked again. Something dark crossed left to right up against the door. There was no sound on the floor. I pulled back hard and my shoulder hit the wall. A minute later, the intercom clicked once like someone touched it with a wet finger. I left it unplugged. I waited. Nothing. I put my ear to the front wall. The pipe knocks in there went steady for a whole minute. 10 knocks. Pause. 10 knocks. Not a rhythm I knew. At night, I heated soup. The power flickered. The microwave beeped and the lights dropped to dim. The microwave door turned black with the power drop and showed my reflection like a dark mirror. In it, I saw myself at the counter and, in the hall behind me, a shape right over my left shoulder. Wet hair flat to a skull shape. Skin looked swollen from a long bath. An open mouth. It stood close enough that I should have felt breath on my neck. I spun around with the spoon up like that mattered. The hall was empty. The air was cold. It went from my ear to the base of my skull and just sat there. I stood a long time without moving. The power came back to full and the microwave lit up with the clock again. 12 o'clock. I did not eat. I tried prayers. I tried saying out loud, "This is my space. You cannot stay." I held the cross in my hand. The knocks ran around the apartment from wall to wall, kitchen to bathroom to living room to hall. They sounded like someone crawling and hitting metal with their hand as they went. When I lay down, the mattress dipped at my legs like a knee pressing and then released. I turned on the thermal and pointed it at the living room wall. The stain area was colder than the rest. In the picture, you could see a darker oval in the stain. It changed shape slow. It was like a lung inflating and deflating. It made a wet sound if I put my ear to the drywall. A little thick swallow. I put my head against it longer than I should have. When I straightened up, my cheek was wet. The drywall was dry when I touched it with my hand. My skin felt cold and sticky. On day 9, I cleaned everything again. My knuckles cracked from the bleach. The cold followed me room to room. The door chain slid a link every time I walked by like the building was breathing with me. My neighbor knocked and asked if I was okay. I said yeah. She put her hand on the door and said, "Some of them stay. They sink here." She kept her hand there a second like she wanted to feel heat. I said, "Who?" She said, "He fixed the pipes in winter. He went behind the wall and he did not make it back out clean." She looked at the stain on my ceiling and blinked a lot. Then she went back to her door and closed it soft. That night I put the static cam in the kitchen to watch the microwave and the front door. I set a chair in the hall and watched the bathroom door with the thermal on my lap. I kept the cross in my pocket for once. At 1:13, the bathroom wall bulged. Not a trick of light. The paint bubbled up between the studs. The bulge came out 2 inches and then went back. I smelled mildew like a wet rag from a mop bucket. I filmed it. I said, "I see you." The intercom buzzed once like a tap. I did not go to it. My name came out of the dark like air pushed through water in a throat. It used my voice. I moved the bed to the living room that night. Stupid move. The stain hung right over me when I lay down. But the bathroom wall scared me more. I fell asleep close to dawn. I woke with a hand on my calf. Not a breeze. Not a blanket slide. 5 cold spots squeezed and let go and then squeezed hard. I kicked. The hand slid to my ankle and pulled. I hit the floor with my hip. The chain scraped. I yelled, "Stop!" The hand held me against the floor a second with all 5 fingers digging in. The bruises that showed later matched the ones from before. On day 12, the stain crossed my pencil line onto the wall. It went down toward the outlet. I took the plate off to check the wires. They were dry. The cold came up behind my head again and sat there like a wet towel, and I said, "Say your name." The pipes knocked in the kitchen, then the bathroom, then the living room, then right behind my head. I knocked back 1, 2. The pipes hit back 1, 2, 3. My keys clinked somewhere I could not see. I found them later in the tub drain, hooked on the crossbar, cold and wet. The climax was day 14. The sky was warm. The building heat was still on. I had all the windows open and fans going. The stains dripped at the edges. I mopped them and the water smeared brown on the mop head. At 3:11 the lights dimmed and held. The fridge motor clicked off. The intercom buzzed on its own. The microwave clock went blank. A big pipe boom came from the bathroom wall, then a hiss like pressure relief. Then water ran behind the wall and did not stop. I grabbed the flashlight and went to the bathroom. The bulge in the wall over the tub came out slow and steady like a balloon. Paint cracked in a straight line. Water leaked through and ran down the tile. I went to the shutoff under the sink. The cold under there made my hands sting. The shutoff wheel would not turn. It was stuck. I said out loud, "Stop." The bulge split. The drywall tore. Something pale pushed through the hole with a wet peel sound. A hand or not a hand. Swollen fingers. Skin sloughing in sheets. Fingernails gray. It grabbed the side of the hole and pulled a shoulder through. The smell was thick mildew and old pipe. The head came last, face to the side, eyes gone flat and filmed. The mouth opened and water ran out onto the tile. It looked like the man the neighbor meant, but I only knew that later when I saw an old photo. Right then it was just a pale head full of water. It came out fast and hit me in the chest. Real weight, not air. It knocked me against the toilet hard enough to crack the lid. I could not get a breath. Its hand slid up my throat and squeezed. Thumb under my jaw. I punched it in the face twice and hit bone underwater. My knuckles slid. It pulled me down by the neck and pressed my head toward the drain in the floor by the tub. That drain had a smell since day 1. Rot and bleach. My cheek went to the tile. Cold. My mouth went to the grate. Cold. I heard a full room of water on the other side of it. I saw my own face in a little sheen on the tile. I thought, this is it. I grabbed for something, anything, and my hand hit the big jug of bleach I had left under the sink. I twisted the cap and threw it at its face. The bleach splashed. It let go. The hand on my throat jerked away like I had burned it. Water poured from its mouth faster. It made a noise that was not a voice. I rolled and slammed the cabinet door into it. It came at me again, but slower and blind. It grabbed my ankle and started to drag me, heel bumping tile, toward the tub. I kicked its hand hard against the base of the toilet. Bone cracked, or I imagined it. It lost the ankle and grabbed my calf. 5 points of pain. I dug my nails into the grout and pulled. I had no leverage. My breath came short because my chest was wrong from the hit. I got my free foot under the sink rim and pushed. The rim broke. The whole cheap vanity shifted and the pipe under it cracked. Water pissed straight down onto its shoulder and face. The smashing water hit it heavy. It recoiled and pressed itself into the hole in the wall like it wanted back in. It did not fit. It tore more drywall and the hole got bigger. It slid away from me into the wall in a rush, like a huge thing going down a small pipe. The sound was obscene. Then it was gone. The bathroom filled with gray water spraying from the broken pipe. I crawled out like an animal, slipping, coughed water and bleach, grabbed the front door, fumbled the chain. The chain swung up on its own and caught my wrist for a second. I ripped it free and it clanged the jam. I got the door open and went to the hall on my hands and knees. Water ran out around me and down the hall. I banged on the neighbor's door. She opened it an inch with her chain on and then opened it all the way when she saw my face. She said, "I told you he never left." She tugged me into her place and shut the door. After that, a lot rushed by. Management came. Plumbers came. They shut the building water. They frowned and pointed and took photos. I sat on the floor in the neighbor's living room wrapped in a towel and smelled bleach in my hair and mildew in my nose. My throat had finger marks. My calf had 5 bruises in a perfect curve. My ankle had skin peeled off where a fingernail had scraped. The EMT asked if someone had attacked me. I said yes and no. He looked at me like he had heard that before. I slept 2 nights on a friend's couch. I went back in daylight with the super and the plumber to get my gear. The bathroom wall was open in a big rectangle now. The stud bay was wet. There was a black stain around the inside like a big hand had dragged around it in circles. They said the pipes had burst from pressure. No one believed anything else. The static cam had died during the blackout. My EVP recorders still worked. I took everything and left fast. That night on the couch, I went through the files. At 3:17 every night, on both EVP recorders, there was that breath and the syllable of my name. I turned the volume up and almost threw the headphones because on one, under the breath, I heard the intercom click and my own voice whisper, "Buzz me in." I do not talk in my sleep. The tone was wrong. Too hollow. It sounded like it came up through a pipe. On the static cam from the kitchen, the microwaves going out, there was a frame where my reflection in the black door did not match. My mouth opened slower in it than my mouth did in the room. The thing behind me looked like me, but swollen and wet. I paused and it looked at the camera, not at me. The wet footprints on the hall floor I had measured were the same length as my feet, just longer at the toes like skin pushed forward. My keys had turned up in the tub drain like I had bent over it and dropped them on purpose. The voice on the intercom that said my name was my own voice. It came through water. It was like the apartment had learned my shape and my sound and sent me back at myself. "He fixed the pipes in winter," she had said. "He went behind the wall and he did not make it back out clean." I don't think he was the only one behind the wall anymore. I think I left a piece of me in there. I think it kept it. When the pipe burst and I pushed it back, I don't think I got away alone. I moved. I broke the lease and ate the penalty. I told the landlord it was a health hazard. He shrugged the same way he had before. He had a list of people who wanted low rent. He did not care about my bruises. I put my gear in storage. I told myself I needed a break. I slept with the bathroom door shut wherever I stayed. The knocks came with me. First night on my friend's couch, the radiator tapped. He said old building. It was not the same. It was the same rhythm as the kitchen bath living hall from 3B. 10 knocks. Pause. 10 knocks. On the second night it knocked from the base of his sink. I pressed my ear to the cabinet and felt cold. The odor came, a thin line of mildew under a bleach cover. At 3:17 my phone buzzed with no caller. I answered and heard wet breath very close, like the speaker was underwater. The line clicked. I said my name without meaning to. I heard it repeat back with a delay. My own voice. My throat felt tight, and the bruise there went bright again like hands on old marks. In the mirror over his sink, when the bathroom light flickered, I saw my face lag. My mouth moved, and the reflection did not keep up by half a beat. I do not want to write more. I am tired. My chest still felt wrong for weeks. The bruises faded and came back for a day and then faded again. I moved again and again. The knocks found the pipes. The buzzers found me. I think it is simple. I opened a space in a place that keeps things. It kept me. It learned me. It followed the water. If I pass the room to someone else, maybe it will take the new shape and let mine go. Or maybe I am lying to myself because I want relief. If you are reading this and you do not believe me, take the lease. Stay one night in 3B. Bring your recorders. Plug them in and mark the stains with a pencil. Listen at the drain at 3:17 and answer when the buzzer calls your name. When the pipe knocks, knock back. Tell me how far you make it. I'll meet you in the intercom. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that one. If you did, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. It really helps the channel. And if you're not too scared yet, check out one of the other stories waiting for you. See you in the next one.